So basically, Farah created so much mass panic from there against someone in US law enforcement, so much mass panic that Indian intelligence, who was already involved, said, "This is huge. I don't think we'll be able to do this on our own." And they told the Russians and the Chinese to help them. And these governments were basically contacting me here in the US, letting me know that someone from US law enforcement was going to rape and murder my dad's younger sister and that they were working on it. Is how much mass panic and chaos that she had created over someone in US law enforcement apparently raping and murdering her. Obviously, at that time, I was all over this because this is the only side of the story and the only thing I knew about at that time. But right now, after seeing that my dad, the greedy framer, has been talking to the man who was supposed to be raping and murdering her every single day to talk about how to enviously lock up my brain savant or get the money from it, I'm starting to see another side of the story that I did not think was possible. Basically, Farah the greedy framer is really good at fabricating false testimonies and lies against people, like how she did on November 20th, only to take all of her lies and false testimonies back as soon as they were caught. So basically, November 20th, she claimed that I was a terrible person, and she claimed either her or one of her sisters that they witnessed me commit a crime. Then early March 2026, they started to claim more lies against me until realizing that, wait a minute, these lies that were claiming against him, we've already told the person who was the government informant that they're not letting me think, that we were planning on making more lies against him. And that's when they switched sides. And the way they switched sides, it just showed money all over it. March 7, 2026, despite being told on February 11th that this is an open advertisement for incest, Farah, the greedy framer, she goes to sending me that same porn star's picture with her name on it. And Afreen, the big, fat, ugly, greedy framer predator, starts sending me sexually explicit pictures of a woman resembling her March 10th and every single day afterwards. Very disgusting. March 9th, Farah the greedy framer tries to get me married to her daughter, and so does the spokesperson's mother. And then it was April 9th, 2026 at 2:27 p.m. and April 9th at 2:47 p.m. Farah the greedy framer tried this again. Basically, Farah the greedy framer, we know that for a fact that she was creating mass panic and chaos against me over and over again due to envy, was due to the fact that as soon as she got caught with November 20th and the subsequent lies that she made early March 2026, she went straight to getting me married to her daughter, which clearly showed that she was only making up these lies and fabrications against me due to no other reason but extreme envy, which was followed by extreme greed. Yeah. And right now, the same thing has occurred again, where only about a few weeks ago or a few days ago, she was doing the exact same thing, trying to make lies about me or talking points from law enforcement. And now on June 16th, only about 4 days ago, she was asking me at 10:56 p.m., 11:51 p.m., then June 17th at 12:16 a.m., then June 17th at 8:07 p.m. to get me married to her daughter. Clearly showing that the talking points or the lies that were being fabricated against me were all due to extreme envy, due to what she switched over to extreme greed when she saw that she was getting caught and that my brain savant would get freed anyways. Only 3 days ago. Yeah. And so basically, the thing that I have to say is my history in life speaks for itself. The moment I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, I haven't been even remotely present in any settings whether good or bad, anywhere at all in life. And all I did was work hard with my mother. Law enforcement is witness to this fact because they watched me 24/7 since I was an 11-year-old child. And as soon as I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity, I was not present in any setting ever in my life. So basically, after August 9, 2022, after 6 hour long brain savant test, proving that I was a triple savant, and that later on they found out that my powers increased over time as well, making it extremely rare. Basically, in 2023, after I won my case on August 25th, 2023, law enforcement started flashing me with severe mental torture drugs every time that anyone would mention a wedding. And I was just like, 2023, you have to remember, is the year of law enforcement spent the entire year doing nothing but running money fraud. And that was money fraud and not money collection. Basically, they would get their people to go run unemployment disability fraud, take the money, wire transfer it over to their other friends, turn a blind eye to the fraud, and you keep some, we keep some sort of thing. And then they were aggressively in November 2023 running sex scheme ads for Uncle Joey in reciprocal for the sex schemes that they received from Uncle Joey's in-law since 2001. So 2023 obviously is like, it was my secret. No one would tell anyone, and I didn't tell anyone either. And basically what happened was, yeah, anyone would do after August 9, 2022. Basically, I found out that I had really high potential before becoming extremely rich, which law enforcement told people without me ever telling anyone. And so obviously I would daydream about making my own house, like a really nice house, all day long, and they had a brain scanner attached to my brain. So obviously they knew, and like they were just like, they pretty much like I would design my house and everything like it's like obviously I found out I had a triple brain savant. Like I'm not gonna daydream about being a carpenter. You know, it's like obviously I'm gonna daydream about being like ultra rich. So like all day long, all I would do is just design my house in my mind all day, and the house was supposed to be like ultra rich house. So law enforcement obviously saw that, and then they saw the fact that I pretty much aspired to be like one of the ultra rich people. So the word got out, and they went and they told like people that were part of the ultra rich class without me even knowing, because obviously they had a brain savant attached to my brain, and the ultra rich found out, and they were really nice, and they were sweet, and they're really kind, and what they pretty much just, they started fighting for me like right away, and I thought that was really sweet of them to do, because pretty much it's like the ultra rich in America, they welcome people from like poor backgrounds. So the poorer you are, the more they would welcome you, and the more they want people of that kind to be a part of their class, like because they don't have that many people that from like poor backgrounds part of their class. And obviously if you're a triple savant, like, and you find out you're a triple savant, and you find out your powers increase over time, like you're not gonna daydream about being a carpenter. Like obviously you're gonna be like, well, then I gotta get started with my work as soon as they let go my brain savant. And for all I knew, they were just locking it up accidentally. For all I knew, they didn't know about my brain savant because I didn't know they had a brain scanner. So basically, yeah, they told the ultra rich about it, and the ultra rich, I didn't know, they were like dying for like people from poor backgrounds to join their class. So telling them was not a good idea for law enforcement, because as soon as the ultra rich found out, they started fighting for me like right away. They were like, no, we want people from poor backgrounds to become a part of our class, which I thought was really nice of them to do. And they pretty much like secretly helped me out as much as they could, which I think is like really nice of them to do. But it was yeah. So pretty much like 2023, I was like, so what happened was 2023 was like May something, like, so yeah. So they had to release the results for the brain savant test from August 9, 2022, like a year later. Obviously, like 8 months later, people are going to be like, give us the report. We want to know. Let us see it, sort of thing. So they did. And like, I would go to like Walmart stores, and like women would like try to pay for my groceries and stuff. I would just be like, no, thank you, lady. Thank you for trying, but I'm good. And like law enforcement saw that. They like their envy could not hold it for one day. So they pretty much just like started hitting my head like really brutally to try to damage my brain savant using these energy weapon torture tools. So I had to go somewhere. So I tried going to India at first, obviously, because I speak Hindi and like the place is like really cheap. So if you speak Hindi, like the place is like really cheap. You can get like a motorcycle for like $100, and labor over there is super cheap. So you ride around all you want, do whatever the heck you feel like doing. India was always number one choice. I was also hopeful that they turn off the brain no, locks. Like right now, it's like all locked up. April 22nd, these ears were like all the way on the back of my head, and yeah. So I was also hopeful that they turn it off. Like, yeah. But what ended up happening was, yeah, Indian visa is like not that easy to get. So like, even when I was there at the Indian consulate, like an hour drive away, on in May 2023, there was a girl with like walking her two dogs, and as soon as I saw her on my way back home from the Indian consulate, it's like an hour drive away, they flashed me with severe hormonal drugs to try to see if I would interested in her or not. And so later on, like when I came back from Saudi Arabia, because I went to Saudi Arabia, they give out visas pretty quickly. It was kind of like it was just like when I came back from Saudi Arabia, it was just like everyone knew about it, like my brain savant, and yeah, so yeah, everyone knew about my brain savant when I came back from Saudi Arabia. So I pretty much just told him on like August 25th, 2023, I was just like, hey, look, I know you know about my brain savant, and I won my case on August 25th, 2023, and I would just like, I want to be able to study, and I want to study now. So like, obviously law enforcement, being as desperate and stupid as they are, they, after running sex games and money fraud throughout the entire year of 2023, they told me, they started flashing me with severe mental torture every time a wedding was mentioned, due to which I found out that there was a crime that occurred at a wedding, and seeing how law enforcement has been acting since the year 2001, I fully knew about the fact that law enforcement um, definitely obviously covered it over. And if they covered it over, then they were part of the people that committed the crime. Now, you have to understand the kind of BFFs that law enforcement has. Right now, we've had four sets of narrators in this trial. First one, 2023, was law enforcement found guilty, kicked out. Second one was my dad, the greedy framer, and his framer sisters found guilty, lying over and over again, kicked out. Third one was Assad from Michigan. And then the fourth one was people like Miss Deb. Now, all four have been found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Miss Deb right now has been sending me ads for her daughter, who's married, to try to kick out her son-in-law to try to get me married to her daughter. Well, but the thing I have to let people know is that it are the kind of BFFs that law enforcement has. One of the people that law enforcement had narrating in this trial was Assad. Clear example of the kind of BFFs that law enforcement has. Whatever the wedding incident was, Assad would not only be involved, not only be present, but he would also be involved in whatever the crime was. I cannot be present there. My poverty was a blessing in disguise for me. Mother worked at a fast food restaurant, so the farthest I could go was community pool, which was for free, but I still didn't go there because I was kind of depressed at that time. Yeah, things weren't that good. My mother was always losing her job, going from one fast food to the other. Things were not that good. Anyways, yeah, so basically, one of the people was Assad. Now, the thing about Assad is not only would he be present in the wedding, he would be fully involved in whatever the crime was, fully involved in it, know about it, everything, never would have reported it. Whatever Busher Akhtar was trying to tell me in 2019, Assad would know about it. He would know about far more. And I told Busher Akhtar right there and then, I do not want to know what you're trying to tell me. I couldn't care less. And Assad would know about it. He would never report it. Now, law enforcement knew all of these things about Assad. They knew about whatever the wedding incident that was that they were trying to frame me, and they knew about all of these things about Assad, and yet law enforcement never cared a thing about it. Yeah, and instead, law enforcement was basically using him to narrate in the trial, despite knowing everything about him. and law enforcement. You got to remember, in the year 2023, when they wanted to frame me for this wedding incident, we're running money fraud the entire year and sex games for Uncle Joey at the funeral in November 2023 so aggressively that Pervez Elahi had to basically like started quoting Uncle Joey, thinking that this was like some BFF of law enforcement or whatever the heck that was going on. Pervez Elahi wanted to show allegiance with law enforcement in the U.S. and say that, well, I'm on your side with whatever sex schemes you're running for Uncle Joey as well. So basically, yeah, this is the kind of stuff that law enforcement's been doing since like day one. It's not it's not the kind of thing that yeah, it's law enforcement supposed to be doing. So Assad, as a narrator, pretty much sums up the kind of BFFs that law enforcement has. Extremely guilty, always present in every crime scene, involved in every crime scene as an adult, know about every single thing going bad, like Bashar Akhtar was trying to tell me in 2019, never reported a thing. That's law enforcement's BFFs. These are the people that law enforcement was trying to have narrate in my trial against me. And only for Assad to get caught doing this, and he simply packs up his stuff and leaves. Like, are you kidding me? Before he leaves, you might as well ask him questions about the wedding incident that he was absolutely involved in. Ask him questions about it, and then let him leave. Like, the guy's there at court. You might as well just do some work while you're at it. You know, it's that sort of thing. Law enforcement never did any work. They never did an ounce of work ever throughout the entire time that this investigation's been run since the year 2001. Law enforcement has literally never done an ounce of work, never asked anyone any questions present in any crime scenes ever throughout their entire life. And yeah, and like right now, law enforcement is was trying to frame me in 2023 for a wedding incident I could not even remotely be present in. No one was ever asked a single question ever for that crime scene or incident that occurred at a wedding. And they were trying to frame me for it only because I won my case on August 25th, 2023. And they saw nice woman, like the lady at Walmart, trying to pay for my groceries. That's law enforcement. This is the kind of people that they are. This is the amount of work that they've done. Absolutely nothing since day one. And they were trying to frame me for a wedding incident that I could not even remotely have been present in. This is the law enforcement that we're talking about over here. But my history shows that from the moment I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, I have never even remotely been present in any settings where anything even remotely considered bad could ever have been said around me, ever in my life. And these narrators from law enforcement, such as Assad, were present everywhere, every single time, all the time. Never questioned about a single thing, ever, their entire life. And the people that law enforcement has given their talking points to are people like Farah the Greedy Framer, who are right now trying to get me to marry her weirdo-looking ugly daughter, while at the same time fabricating false testimonies, lies that she's already been caught with, but making talking points for law enforcement. You got to remember, Farah the Greedy Framer has been caught November 20th, creating mass panic and chaos over a crime and setting that did not even exist, to the point that no news anchor on CNN was able to smile on live TV for days after November 20th due to the amount of mass panic and chaos Farah the Greedy Framer made, only for her to try to get me married to her daughter as soon as she got caught with those lies on March 9th and then April 9th, April 9th, April 9th, 2:27 p.m. and April 9th, 2:47 p.m. And March 7th, sending me a porn star named Sunny Leone's picture with her name's Farah on it at 10:41 a.m., 11:06 a.m., and 2:07 p.m. And right now, Farah the Greedy Framer did the exact same thing where she was trying to create mass panic and chaos against me And only for her to now on June 16th, 10:56 p.m., 11:51 p.m., then June 17th, 12:16 a.m., June 17th at 8:07 p.m., try to get me married to her weirdo, ugly looking daughter again. Yeah, the thing about it is, after all the fabrications that have been caught, like the wedding incident that law enforcement was trying to frame me for in 2023, November 20th, the Fur the Greedy Framer and her Framer sisters were trying to frame me for that created mass panic and chaos against me on November 20th, 2025. Subsequent lies that Fur the Greedy Framer tried to frame me for later after November 20th, only to get caught with those lies and try to send me porn star's picture with her name Farah written on it on March 7th, despite being told on February 11th at 3:17 a.m. that these are open advertisements for incest. And then her big fat ugly old sister named Afreen sending me sexually explicit pictures of a woman resembling her starting March 10th every single day afterwards. The thing about it is, and even right now, June 17th, that disgusting perverted predator sent me June 17th, 7:23 p.m. Hershey Hotel and Resorts. I have no clue what that means. Hotel and Resorts. Yeah. So basically, for the greedy predator framer, has switched sides again, or she's playing both sides. One time at same time she's arguing that my brain savant should not get locked up. She sees that it is. She's trying to greedily get me married to her weirdo, ugly looking daughter. June 16, June 17. Yeah, over and over again. You have to remember, Farah the Greedy Framer is really good at creating mass panic and chaos against people that she wants to. November 20th, she created so much mass panic and chaos that no news anchor on CNN was able to smile on live TV for days after November 20th. And even except for that, she created mass panic and chaos over lies that were caught as being lies afterwards. She aggressively pushed those lies forward only for them to be caught as being already confessed to the government informant as being complete and total lies. And then after that, more lies that were aggressively pushed that were found out to be complete and total lies from the phone conversations retrieved. So basically, Fire the Greedy Framer has been doing this fabrication thing for a while. Before this, she also made testimonies against an individual from U.S. law enforcement, claiming to Indian intelligence that this man was trying to rape and murder her, due to which Indian intelligence had to contact Russian government and the Chinese government to let them know that a woman was about to be raped and murdered by someone in U.S. law enforcement, due to which she created so much mass panic and chaos that these governments had to contact me over here in the U.S. and let me know that my aunt was about to get raped and murdered by someone in U.S. law enforcement. Only for us to now find out that her brother, my dad, the greedy framer, talked to that person who was supposed to be raping and murdering her, that these governments had to contact me about. And he calls and talks to that person every single day to find out ways to enviously lock up my brain savant or try to greedily get all the money if it's about to get freed. So for the greedy framer, she's really good at fabricating these testimonies that create mass panic and chaos. We saw that November 20th. We saw that before with her claiming rape and murder against someone. And right now she's playing both sides, trying to get me married to her daughter and at the same time claiming that my brain savant should not get freed. The thing that we have to remember is the fact that Fire the Greedy Framer has no talking points left anymore. And law enforcement has no talking points left anymore. And the thing that we have to remember is my history, where from the moment I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, all I have done in my life is work hard with my mother, never even remotely present in any settings considered either good or bad ever in my life. Couldn't afford to do so, and while I was working hard, never had the desire to do so, to the point that in 2023, when law enforcement tried to frame me for a wedding incident, I just smiled back at them and I told them, look, I would not be present at this wedding because I couldn't afford to do so. But thanks for telling me and confessing me about a crime that you covered over and thereby were involved in yourselves. So basically, if before I was even slightly mentally mature as a child, if anyone did say anything bad around me, it would only be while my mother was working hard at a fast food restaurant, only temporarily daily, only while I was waiting for my mother to get off from work, and only with me not even being mentally mature enough yet in life. And this talking point has to be made by law enforcement, not by someone like Farrah the Greedy Framer, who was never even around there. And the only reason Farrah the Greedy Framer would be using this talking point is because November 20th's been caught. All her subsequent lies after November 20th were caught because they confessed this to the government informant as being lies that they were going to frame me for. And so when the courts were just smiling back at them and saying, thanks for letting us know, they realized that the government informant was the person whom they made all the confessions to about all of the subsequent lies that they were going to make about me. And then they made more lies that were caught from phone conversations having to be retrieved because how aggressively they made it. They were like, no, we're telling the truth this time. Only for the phone conversations to be retrieved and everyone to find out that everything was a lie. I told the courts, I was like, Your Honor, facts and evidences from the phone conversations retrieved are going to show you that every single thing that Farrah the Greedy Framer and her Framer sister said were all a lie once again. And they were. So this talking point, if law enforcement wants to make it about someone saying something bad around me when I was a child, when my mother was working in fast food restaurants, and it was only temporarily daily, only till she would get off from work, law enforcement has to make these talking points themselves and not give it to someone like Farrah the Greedy Framer. And law enforcement also has to explain why, if anything that anyone could have said around me when I was a child, which would never be my mother because she's never uttered one bad word considered bad her entire life, throughout the more than 25 years she's been watched, law enforcement has to explain why they've been running sex schemes and money fraud with these individuals. Since that time, when I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, till now, till this very day today, law enforcement has to explain why they've been running sex schemes and money fraud with these individuals. So yeah, and that is the story for that. Now, so law enforcement has to use these talking points themselves, not give it to someone like Farrah the Greedy Framer, who's known for creating mass panic and chaos. And children are not held liable, and law enforcement has to explain why they, if anyone did even remotely say anything bad, why they have been running sex schemes and money fraud with these individuals, if they did, before I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity. Because after I did gain the slightest bit of mental maturity, even as a child, I was never present in any settings, whether considered good or bad, which is why when law enforcement tried to frame me for a wedding incident in 2023, well, guess what? I would not be present in that wedding, nor would anyone invite me over to their house to tell me about an incident that occurred at a wedding, making me not knowing about it, not being involved in it, not even being present in it. Law enforcement was present, they covered it over, they were involved in it, and so were people like Assad, I can guarantee. And yet Assad simply packed up his stuff and left without being questioned in court again, after he was never questioned to begin with over this wedding incident that law enforcement was trying to frame me for. Absolutely insane how these investigations, quote unquote, investigations are being run. Law enforcement is committing crimes, covering them over. The people who are involved in the crimes are narrators in the trial, and as soon as they get found out as being involved in the crimes, knowing about it, not reporting it, everything about it, they simply just pack up their stuff and leave, not answering a single question about it, which I think is absolutely hilarious that this thing is called a quote-unquote investigation, because I don't think that's how investigations are supposed to be run. But yeah, that is what's going on. And Farrah the Greedy Framer, who's been caught lying over and over again, should not be given talking points from law enforcement at all, whether it's anything anyone could have even remotely said bad around me as a child while I was being watched while my mother was working in fast food restaurants, or anything else. Mainly because these are talking points from law enforcement, and law enforcement has to then also answer why they've been running sex schemes and money fraud with everyone, while me have not even remotely be present in any setting with anyone who could have said anything bad or good or anything of that sort of nature from the moment I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child. And yeah, this is the fact. And the other thing that has to be looked at is if anyone said anything bad around me as a child, it's saying and not doing. In 2011, one of the 3 times that I've ever met my dad, the Greedy Framer, my dad, the Greedy Framer, was He was basically, he has a 5 foot long beard, and people think he had powers of mystical powers to get people's prayers answered. So they would go over to him, and he would give them sermons from his house. And basically, he was so March 12th, 2026, he's asking law enforcement if I'm willing to do his sexual perversions by sleeping with his old, ugly, disgusting looking wife. Oh my God, if you only saw her face, you would know how disgusting this is. And this is only after this man has gone completely nuts after finding out that November 20th was caught and the subsequent lies were also caught. So he goes completely nuts, and then he starts sending me porn stars pictures with his sister's name on it, and his other sister, Afreen, the big fat ugly predator, March 10th, every day afterwards, sends me pictures of a woman resembling her. March 12th, he's asking law enforcement, I'm willing to sleep with his disgusting, ugly looking wife. Oh my God. But the thing about it is, it's just the fact that, it's just the man with the mystical powers. Basically, he would give sermons from his house in 2011, telling people to go out and commit mass murder and jihad, and basically telling people to go out there and commit mass murder every single day. This is doing and not saying. Okay, if anyone did say anything bad around me as a child, it would only be while my mother was working at fast food restaurants. Obviously, never my mother. My mother would not be around, and they would only say it around me while I was waiting for my mother to get off from work from fast food restaurants. And as soon as I would gain, they're not letting me talk. As soon as I would gain the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, I would never be around any setting whatsoever, which is why I was never at the wedding incident that they tried to frame me for in 2023. And who would be around would be law enforcement running sex games and money fraud with these individuals. So basically, law enforcement handled 2011 situation the same way. They tipped him off instead of investigating it, finding out how many people he sent to go join terror groups or do anything of that sort of nature. What the results of what he was giving sermons on every single day was. None of that. They just went and they tipped him off like, hey man, look, we're running sex games and money fraud over here, so you're becoming a nuisance. So why don't you just wait till Hassan leaves and then you could give your sermons again? Yeah, that's law enforcement's definition of doing an investigation or doing work. That's what they've always done. So basically, law enforcement cannot give any of their talking points to Farah the Greedy Framer right now. They have to use it themselves and answer the basic question, why have you been running sex games and money fraud with every single person that could have even remotely have said anything bad around me when I was being adult supervised as a child before I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child. And we know for a fact I'm telling the truth on that due to the fact that the things that law enforcement tried to frame me for, well, I was never involved in them. I was never present at the wedding incident, nor was I invited to anyone's house who would tell me a secret on an incident that occurred at a wedding, due to which poverty was a blessing in disguise for me, and law enforcement themselves were. And law enforcement has to now use their own talking point instead of giving it to someone like Farah the Greedy Framer, who was never present in any setting where I was as a child and is only using this talking point for law enforcement due to the fact that Farah the Greedy Framer's lies, fabrication from November 20th has been caught. Early March 2026 was caught, due to which she was sending a porn star's picture with Farah's name on it, with Sunny Leone, the porn star, with Farah's name on it, and then trying to get me married to her ugly, weird daughter on March 9th and April 9th, 2026 at 2:27 p.m. and 2:47 p.m. And yeah, Farah the Greedy Framer cannot use this talking point. It's not hers. It's law enforcement. They have to use it themselves. Farah the Greedy Framer has lied and fabricated numerous times, created mass panic and chaos, not only November 20th, even before then, against someone in U.S. law enforcement. So much so that every single country had to get involved in trying to find out who this man from U.S. law enforcement was who was trying to rape and murder her, and they had to let me know that someone was trying to rape and murder your dad's younger sister from U.S. law enforcement. She created that much mass panic and chaos, only for us to now find out that her dad, my dad, her brother, my dad, the Greedy Framer, talked to that person who was supposed to be raping and murdering her every single day about how to get the Brain Savant money or enviously lock up my Brain Savant. And right now, while these talking points are failing, Farah the Greedy Framer is trying to get me married to her ugly weirdo daughter, Zara, with the Zorro ads in June 16, 10:56 p.m., 11:51 p.m., June 17, 12:16 a.m., June 17, 8:07 p.m. Same thing with Miss Deb, but yeah, right now, yeah, Fur the Greedy Framer is basically taking talking points from law enforcement that are not hers, only because her talking points are all been caught as being completely lies and fabrications, and yet November 20th, despite the crime inciting not even existing, Fur the Greedy Framer, who was removed from the spokesperson stand after being found out by the government informant as being completely involved in it, created so much mass panic and chaos over a crime inciting that did not even exist that no news anchor on CNN was able to smile on live TV for days after November 20th. That's the level of envy that Fur the Greedy Framer has of someone else's daughter being able to profit from my brain savant money. And right now, the greed level is so much that the disgusting predator, pervert Fur the Greedy Framer on June 16 was sending me at 10:56 p.m., 11:51 p.m., and then June 17 at 12:16 a.m. and 8:07 p.m. ads for her daughter Zara. Yeah, this is the level of envy and greed that this woman has. And by yesterday, even law enforcement has started to try to get me to give them illegal assurances of money with the Truist Bank ad on June 19th at 4:27 p.m. Thank you.